Welcome everyone. Today we have a guide for Path of Exile. This is targeted at beginner players and also picking the build. So this guide will look at how do we pick a build and what are the sort of build for beginner players that can save you time in terms of campaign, saves you time and efforts of making a mistake initially and getting stuck in the campaign and not getting to the end game. I had a friend who wanted to try his own builds. It sounds great, but the NPCs will present you with a lot of choices and that can be very overwhelming right at the start. So I recommend new players try a beginner build which can take you all the way to the end game, experience everything of the game, and just have a safety net knowing that this build is going to succeed in an end game to some extent, instead of just having to reset everything, costing you a lot of resource and getting stuck in the game and not being able to do anything. So getting right away, I did pick a beginner build, and this is a beginner summoner, and I have gotten into the pretty much end game and I've been able to clear every content in the game within the 10 days I was playing. I was a little lucky with currency, with items, but the majority of the fact is knowing there's a build ready, I can have summons, I can have little skeletons. Notice I'm summoning skeletons, I can summon zombies, I can shield charge, so the build is very well rounded. So how do we start with finding a build? Let's have a look. Right away, we can search for a lot of build on YouTube. This is why I first started with Path of Exile. So you can go POE, beginner, build, and you can click the version of the build. Currently, the recording of this video, we're in 3.9. We're about to get to 4.0, so which is going to be a new elements, new things. So what we're going to do is, when you are searching for the build for the new league, definitely search it for 4.0. For me, I found the first one I was looking for on the highest view with the 3.9 starter, with the friend I believe was Lifting Nerd and Lifting Nerd Bro, and he actually explained things pretty nicely. So he shared 5 of the strong starter builds, and basically what he did was he previewed some of the skills, some of the changes. He also spoke about it, so it was really helpful for me to watch some of those. And you can you can search for the other builds over here that can help with the starter. So after watching him, I realized I want to play something with a summoner. Let me take this. So you can see that he was playing a summoner. It was lots of skeletons. I was finding it really helpful. I was like, hey, I want to play with a summoner. I stopped here and I was like, hey, how do I path this further? And what I did was, after this, I searched for other builds. I wanted to focus on summoner build. So I searched up also on YouTube with Path of Exile 3.9. I wanted to go skeleton summoners. So I found another video which helped me with skeleton summoners. Notice the first video I searched helped me with generalization of what's available with a beginner's build, and then I picked one. I decided to go focus on skeleton build, so here I found another video for the skeleton build. Here the video ideally should be talking about what items to be picking and what are the kind of formation in the endgame. This is helpful because this shows you it can get into the endgame, and the highlight for this build is that it doesn't require too much resource and not much experience for the game, which is great. After that, after finding a particular build guide, which I saved onto my Chrome, after that, what I'll be doing is I went to search with Path of Exile with the actual build. So notice here, we actually have on the Path of Exile forum, we can search up builds people post. This is a 3.9 version of the skeleton build. So first I found different beginner build, I found the video for the build, and then I found the actual Path of Exile guide. There's so many nice people making guides for beginners. Notice here it says beginners, it says budget build. That's perfect for us. That's a new player. So you can see that he shows a picture of lots of summons. He talks about the pros and cons of the build, and he shows a bit of the skill tree. And the best thing is he tells you where to go with the trees, and he'll also show you with leveling tips, is that what do you do with things if you really want help. Those are really helpful. And after that, he will show you the in-game gears with the budget things, and he will also show you, the mid-budget. If you actually get to better upgrades, you actually get better things. Lastly, he will show you the best thing of the build is what gems to be looking for. Right at the story, you find so many gems. I don't know which gems to pick, but having this version in mind, I can see that I'm looking for blue gems for those two. I'm looking for red gems for those two, and there's a blue and there's a red, and I can be actively looking for those as the boss drops them, as the NPCs offers them. If I find any, I'll be collecting them in my inventory, and I get them ready for the particular linked items. And I can look into why they want those items. And I'll be like, oh, this golem actually buffs my whole team. I make him aggressive, I make him do more damage. I realize the idea behind it, I start to learn the build myself. I was like, why does he want mid shield on the zombies? Because they become a tank for you. And also similarly, he has a combination of things with faster casting for different spells. So sometimes at this moment, I will be picking those gems as I go. Don't worry if you don't find those gems as you go into the game, because in Act 6, you'll be buying all the gems yourself with NPC. She sells all the gems available in-game. Of course, she doesn't sell the in-game gems, but she sells pretty much 95% of the gems. The in-game gems are dropped by the boss with Awakening, which we'll talk about that as well. Now that I know my build and know the reason behind it, what I can do is there's some videos here he's offering, there's a lot of good things he's offering, and that's really good. I have the build fixed out, and I know exactly 80% of the things I want to know about my build. I can look towards in proceeding with my game. It does feel like I'm following a guide and it might reduce the enjoyment of the game, but in reality, I'm so clueless about Path of Exile when I first started. This was so helpful. This was the reason I can go deeper into the game to be able to enjoy the game actually so much more, because it's like nurturing your baby. It actually grows into a really strong build. You find a really good gem and you actually get much better in the game. I found a Val skeleton. I was like, oh my gosh, the skeleton army just summons and it's so good. And it's incredibly fun just building things. I start to tweak around. I'll be like, why do I combine zombies with golems and save a spot? Why do I get blink instead of, charge? Why do I get something else? So I start to change the build myself and make it better. So notice here, I don't have the fire blink he has. I actually have his charge. And for me, I actually have my items linked differently compared to what he was offering. So it was really helpful at the start, and that was so critical. And that's the whole search process. Now, before we go, there's one thing I want to share with you guys. I was searching up for endgame builds, and one of the videos I came across is this one with the Necromancer utility character. Nothing about the YouTuber or anything, and he was really good at explaining. He showed a lot of the endgames with the summons. What I was not aware is I had about a lot of currency saved up. I calculated how much it would cost me to buy everything into this particular build for the late game, and I realized I don't have one of his critical items, which cost a lot more chaos orb and the exalted orb than what I was expecting, which is okay. So let's go. He wants to buy something. So yeah, this is the trading section. So what I was not aware is when I was looking up the build, he showed about 95% of everything that's needed, but there's a critical factor that made him super strong, which he mentioned it's going to be a very expensive item. I thought I can get away without having the item, but it turns out I was not able to do the endgame as strongly as him because I was lacking a critical item, which was costing too much. So you never want a build that's really expensive, that's hard to achieve, because much more veteran players knows how to trade and knows how to adjust for things. If you're actually following a build without the complete easy accessibility of items, then you should really not look into this build because it's not a beginner friendly and you have so much trouble in perfecting or even making half of his strength in the late game. And that's for me. At lesson learned, I spent about 7 exalted orb buying 80% of the gears. Then I was missing one particular passive gem. Then I realized I was missing 2 passive gems, and that he has about, let's have a look, he has about 12k shield. I was sitting about 9k shield. I was lacking damage, I was lacking everything. My playstyle was different, so I had to sell everything I bought. So it was a bit of burden. It took me 2 days. That was a little headache, but it was a good lesson learned. I should not follow a build that was too costly, that was out of my league. I was looking at beginner build, intermediate build. This is more for late game. So make sure you double check the build, how much it costs, and if it's beginner friendly. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this guide, I'll be making more guides for Path of Exile to come, and we'll be going into the details of the final points with tips and guides to come.